They told me it was an honor. Whenever someone in an alien empire tells you something is an honor, you should immediately check whether it comes with armor. It did not. I was assigned to stand at the right side of the imperial dais, precisely 2 steps behind the alien princess of the Aurelian Dominion. 2 steps, not 1, not 3. I learned that the hard way when a court attendant gently repositioned me as if I were a decorative plant that had grown unevenly. "Relax your shoulders," he whispered. "They are relaxed," I whispered back. "They are not." Apparently human posture reads as either aggressive or terrified in this empire. I was aiming for dignified. I suspect I landed somewhere near mildly constipated. The chamber doors parted, and the court assembled in shimmering layers of silk and light. Holographic sigils hovered above noble houses, rotating slowly like patient predators. At the far end of the hall, fleet projections glowed, entire armadas suspended in miniature, awaiting command. And then she entered. The alien princess did not need an announcement. The room adjusted around her. She looked human at first glance. Fair skin, luminous under the chamber's soft radiance. Long, light blonde hair braided intricately, the braid falling over her shoulder like a deliberate statement of control. But her ears, long, elegant, tapering slightly upward, set her apart unmistakably. Thin strands of crystalline circuitry traced along them, faintly glowing as they synchronized with the palace network. She took her place at the center of the dais. I took my place 2 steps behind, and immediately became aware of approximately 300 sets of alien eyes evaluating whether I belonged there. Spoiler, they had opinions. The high strategist began his report, projecting a rotating star map into the air. Border systems flickered in amber. Fleet vectors curved in tense arcs. The Dominion's outer colonies were experiencing increased tensions, which I had learned was imperial language for "someone is testing our patience with heavy artillery." The princess listened without interrupting. Her posture was effortless, composed, untouchable. I, meanwhile, tried not to stare at the miniature fleet drifting inches from my face. One of the nobles leaned toward another and whispered, not quietly enough, "The human stands very close." I leaned slightly backward, the whisper adjusted. "Now he looks uncertain." I leaned forward again, indecisive. I settled on stillness. If I moved again, they might draft a thesis on it. The strategist concluded with a projection of a contested system pulsing red. "We await your command, Your Highness." Silence, the kind that weighs more than gravity. She stepped forward slightly. Her long ears angled just a fraction, crystalline threads brightening as streams of data fed directly into her neural interface. She was not merely observing the map. She was calculating probabilities in real time, cross-referencing fleet readiness, supply chains, diplomatic repercussions. I wondered briefly whether she ever felt the weight of it. Then she spoke. "Hold position," she said calmly. "Increase reconnaissance along the secondary corridor. Do not engage." A murmur rippled across the chamber. The high strategist frowned. "Your Highness, hesitation may be interpreted as weakness." She did not raise her voice. Measured response is not hesitation. Silence again, this time sharper. I felt the tension coil around us like a tightening orbit. The nobles did not question her directly, but doubt hummed beneath their composure. I could almost hear it. Too young, too cautious, too reliant on what exactly me? As if summoned by collective suspicion, the High Chancellor's gaze shifted toward me. "And the human?" he asked smoothly. "Does he concur with this restraint?" "Ah, wonderful." I had been in the room for 12 minutes and was already a political instrument. The princess did not turn. "He is here to observe." "But he stands at your side." "Yes." I resisted the urge to wave. The Chancellor's expression remained polite. Which was worse? "Human," he said, "you have served in volatile regions, have you not?" "Yes," I answered carefully. "And in your experience, does patience deter aggression?" Several hundred alien eyes focused on me. This was not what my contract had described. "My experience," I said slowly, "is that rushing into a fight because someone expects you to look strong usually ends with a very expensive repair bill." A faint sound, almost a suppressed laugh, came from somewhere in the outer ring. The Chancellor's eyes narrowed slightly. "We are not concerned with expenses." "You should be," I replied. "War tends to invoice aggressively." That earned a clearer ripple of amusement. The princess did not smile, but I saw the smallest shift at the corner of her mouth. The strategist interjected. "The Dominion cannot appear uncertain." The princess finally turned her head slightly, enough that I could see her profile. "Uncertainty," she said, is pretending to know the outcome of every move. Her gaze flicked toward me briefly. Courage, she continued, is choosing the correct move even when others misread it. The words landed in the chamber like deliberate stones. The Chancellor inclined his head. And if the border escalates, then we respond, she said. With clarity, the council session dissolved into procedural confirmations, but the undercurrent remained. I could feel it pressing against the dais. When the chamber finally emptied, I exhaled. That went well, I murmured. She remained facing the fading star map. You were not required to speak, she said. I was asked. You answered. I hesitated. Was that incorrect? She turned toward me fully now. Up close, the precision of her composure softened slightly. Not weakness, just awareness. They test you, she said quietly, because you stand beside me. I gathered that. Her long ears angled back just a fraction, the crystalline threads dimming as the data stream quieted. You felt their doubt. Yes, and you remained. I considered pretending to faint, I admitted, but that seemed dramatic. That earned it a small, unmistakable smile. Do not faint, she said. Noted. She stepped closer, lowering her voice so the remaining attendants could not overhear. Be brave, she said. I blinked. I am standing very still, I replied. That feels brave. Her gaze held mine. Standing is easy, she said softly. Belonging is harder. The words settled somewhere deeper than I expected. I don't belong here, I said lightly. You do, she answered, even if they do not yet understand why. She turned and began walking toward the inner corridor. I followed 2 steps behind. This time, no one corrected my distance, and for the first time since arriving in the Dominion, I began to suspect that my presence was not ornamental. It was deliberate, which, in an empire balanced on the edge of war, might be far more dangerous than decoration. The first time I realized the palace was listening to me, I was complaining about the tea. I'm fairly certain this is glowing, I muttered, holding the cup at arm's length. It is fortified with neural stimulants, the attendant replied smoothly. It is judging me. It is not sentient. It feels sentient. The attendant blinked, uncertain whether humans were prone to beverage paranoia. I took a careful sip anyway. My tongue buzzed faintly. I made a mental note never to insult Arcanian cuisine within range of active surveillance systems. The princess summoned me shortly after the morning council. Not to the grand chamber, to the tactical observatory, which was somehow worse. The observatory was suspended above the palace core, a circular platform encased in a transparent energy field. Below us, the capital pulsed with controlled light. Above, the empire unfolded in layered projections, trade routes, fleet vectors, contested borders. She stood at the center, her long, light blonde braid resting over her shoulder, fingers moving through holographic constellations. The crystalline threads along her elegant ears shimmered as streams of data flowed into her neural interface. You wanted to see me? I asked. I wanted you to see this, she replied. A cluster of systems flared amber near the outer rim of the Dominion. Reconnaissance reports increased military signatures, she said. Not enough for formal engagement, enough for concern. Concern is a polite word, I said. On Earth we'd call that someone revving their engines. Her lips curved slightly. The Council expects decisive retaliation, she continued, and you're not giving it. No, I folded my arms, studying the projections. You think they're provoking you. I think they want us to appear reactive. And if you don't react, they must escalate openly. I nodded slowly. So you're forcing them to choose visibility. Yes, I glanced at her. That's risky. Yes. You're very calm about it. I was trained to be. There it was again, that perfect composure, raised to command fleets, conditioned to silence war rooms, every movement precise, every word measured. Do you ever get tired of being correct? I asked. She looked at me. I am not always correct. The Council seems to think you are. They expect me to be. That sounds exhausting. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she shifted the projection. A simulation unfolded, fleet formations clashing in silent arcs of light. If we engage now, she said, casualty projections increase by 22%. And if you wait, they may strengthen their position. Or reveal their hand. Yes, I watched the ships maneuver in miniature. On Earth, I said, we have a saying, don't swing at every shadow. You assume this is a shadow. I assume someone wants you to swing first. She studied the simulation a moment longer, then dismissed it with a subtle gesture. You speak as if you have commanded fleets, she said. I've mostly commanded repair crews, I replied. But egos are universal. That earned a soft exhale that might have been a laugh. A new projection appeared, internal political alignments within the court. House crests glowed in shifting shades of loyalty. They are watching you, she said. Still. Especially. I groaned quietly. I have done nothing. You stand beside me. That again. Yes. She stepped closer, lowering the projection's opacity so the stars beyond shone through. In this empire, she said, proximity implies influence. I influence very little, I said. I can barely influence my own posture. You influence me. That silenced me. She held my gaze steadily. You ask questions others do not, she continued. You challenge assumptions without ritual. That's because I don't know the ritual. Exactly. I considered that, so I'm politically disruptive by accident. Yes, good to know. Her long ears angled slightly forward, crystalline threads dimming as the data stream eased. The Chancellor believes you weaken my authority, she said. That's unfortunate. I was aiming for mild moral support. He believes that if I rely on a human perspective, I doubt our own. And do you? She didn't hesitate. No. Then what's the problem? She regarded the border projections again. Perception. I sighed. The universal enemy. A chime echoed softly through the observatory. Incoming transmission. The projection shifted. A distorted signal from the contested system pulsed at the edge of the field. Unauthorized fleet movement, the Palace AI announced. The amber cluster deepened toward red. Well, I said, there's your visibility. Her posture did not change, but the crystalline strands along her ears brightened sharply. Magnify sector, she ordered. The projection zoomed. 3 foreign cruisers slipped into restricted space, weapons cold but trajectories aggressive. The Council would demand response within minutes. You can still engage first, I said quietly. Yes. And prove their narrative. Yes. The cruisers advanced another fractional degree. I felt the tension press against the observatory's transparent field. She turned to me. Be brave, she said again. You're the one with fleets, I replied. And you are the one unafraid to appear uncertain. I am afraid constantly, I said. I just hide it poorly. That is not what I observe. The cruisers adjusted formation. If you hold, I said, you risk looking passive. If I strike, she replied, I risk becoming predictable. Silence hung between us, then she straightened slightly. Open channel, she commanded. The Palace AI complied, her voice carried outward, amplified across vacuum. You have entered restricted Dominion space, she said evenly. State your intent. The foreign ships hesitated. Seconds stretched. Finally, a response crackled through the projection, vague, evasive, claiming navigational error. I raised an eyebrow. They always blame navigation, I muttered. She muted the channel briefly. They expect hostility, she said. Give them dignity instead, I suggested. Make them retreat publicly. Her gaze sharpened. You would offer them exit. I'd offer them a choice, I said. Retreat and save face, or escalate and reveal aggression. The crystalline threads flickered as she processed outcomes. Then she reactivated the channel. You are granted safe withdrawal, she said calmly. Any further advance will be recorded as deliberate provocation. A pause, the foreign cruisers adjusted course. Slowly, they withdrew. The red faded back to amber. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Well, I said, that was exciting in a very controlled, non-explosive way. She muted the channel entirely and turned to me. You would have engaged, she asked. I would have panicked internally, and then pretended I meant to do whatever you decided. That earned a real laugh this time, brief but unmistakable. You see, she said, you are brave. No, I replied, I just talk. She stepped closer, her voice lowering. Sometimes that is the same thing. The observatory lights dimmed slightly as the palace recalibrated from alert status. Below us, the capital continued its quiet rhythm. You know they will challenge this, I said. Yes. They'll say you were too lenient. Yes, and that I encouraged it. Yes, I sighed. I really need a hobby less politically destabilizing. Her long ears angled back slightly, relaxed now. You are exactly where you are meant to be, she said. I met her gaze. That's either reassuring, I said, or terrifying. Both, she replied. And as the border system steadied and the fleets resumed watchful silence, I began to understand that bravery here was not about charging into war. It was about standing still when everyone expected you to flinch. "You're staring again," she said quietly. "I'm not staring," I answered. "I'm evaluating tactical symmetry. My ears are not tactical assets." "They could be," I said. "If negotiations fail, you could probably cut paper with them." She turned her head slowly, long braided blonde hair sliding over her shoulder. "You are very brave for someone with no armor." "I've noticed that bravery increases when the alternative is fainting." Her lips twitched. Around us, the high chamber continued its endless murmur of translated whispers and flickering holographic sigils. Admirals projected fleet formations above their palms. Ministers adjusted probability models in midair. Somewhere above, orbital cannons recalibrated with a sound like distant thunder. She leaned slightly toward me. "The Verx coalition is demanding control." Shield override engaged. I stared at her protective field. The shimmer flickered. "Your Highness," I said under my breath, "someone's tampering with your shield." Her jaw tightened. "Duration? Seconds." The shield sputtered, then steadied. "False alarm." I muttered. "Not false," she said calmly. "A test." A ripple of unease passed through the chamber as the Verx envoy's hologram materialized, tall, armored, eyes like burning coals. "Princess," the envoy intoned, "your fleets reposition aggressively. This is not the gesture of peace." She met the holographic gaze. "Peace is not achieved by surrender, nor by arrogance. Then let us avoid both." While she spoke, I rerouted palace subroutines through my cuff, chasing the override signal. It darted like a ghost through encrypted corridors. "Found you," I whispered. The source blinked into view. A secure node within the Royal Defense Ministry. "Of course," I sighed. "It's always someone with a title." She continued, addressing the envoy, voice steady. "The gates remain ours. However, we propose a joint patrol to ensure mutual security." The envoy hesitated. "A shared command?" "Shared oversight," she corrected. Behind the envoy, Verx officers shifted uneasily. I leaned closer. The override came from Minister Havek's office. She did not react outwardly. "Evidence? Enough to ruin his week." The envoy's hologram flickered. "We will consider your proposal." "Do," she said. The projection vanished. The chamber erupted into layered arguments. I lowered my voice. "Havek tried to drop your shield during negotiations. To create the appearance of weakness," she said softly, "or to let someone else take the shot." Her eyes hardened. "He would not risk open treason. He just did." She turned slightly toward me. "Can you lock his access?" "With pleasure." I redirected the override back through its own channel. Havek's node blinked red. Somewhere across the chamber, the minister stiffened, confusion crossing his face as his interface failed. "Technical difficulties?" I murmured. She almost smiled. "You are enjoying this." "I'm human. Petty victories sustain us." The council gradually quieted. She raised her hand. "We will recess. Security review effective immediately." As officials dispersed, she stepped down from the dais. Up close, I could see tension in her shoulders. "You handled that well," I said. "You prevented a public catastrophe. I prevented a flicker, you prevented a war." She studied me. "You were afraid, terrified, and yet you spoke. I prefer speaking to being vaporized." A faint laugh escaped her. "Your honesty is refreshing. Your empire needs better IT security. We will address that." We walked toward a quieter corridor, palace lights dimming to a softer glow. "Havek will deny everything," I said. "He will not need to confess. He has revealed himself." "And the Verx? They will test us again." I nodded. "Then we stay brave." She stopped walking. "Is that what you think this is?" she asked. "Bravery? You stood there knowing someone inside your own court might try to kill you. That qualifies." She looked at me, long ears catching the light. "Bravery is not the absence of fear. It's acting anyway," I finished. "Yes." My cuff chimed softly. "Havek's access permanently revoked. Efficient. I aim to please." She held my gaze a moment longer than protocol required. "You already have." "Careful," I said. "If you keep saying things like that, I'll start thinking I'm indispensable." "You are," she replied. For a second, the weight of fleets and conspiracies seemed distant. Then alarms pulsed faintly through the palace grid. I sighed. "Please tell me that's a scheduled drill." Her eyes narrowed as new data streamed across her vision. "It is not." "Of course it is." She turned toward the command wing. "The Verx have moved." I fell into step beside her. "Joint patrol discussion didn't stick." "It appears not." "Well," I said, trying to steady my pulse, "at least we're consistent." "In what way?" "Every time things calm down, something explodes." She almost laughed as we quickened our pace. Stay close. Wouldn't dream of doing otherwise. And as the Empire's defenses roared to life, I realized bravery was less about grand speeches and more about walking beside someone who refused to flinch. Status, she said as we entered the command wing. Outer Gate 3 reporting gravitational distortion, an officer replied. Verk's fleet holding position beyond firing range. Translation, I muttered, they're flexing. She ignored me, eyes fixed on the tactical sphere hovering above the central table. Fleets shimmered in miniature, our cruisers forming a defensive arc, Verk's dreadnoughts pulsing like coiled predators. Open channel, she ordered. The Verk's envoy reappeared, less patient than before. Your fleets advance. They reposition defensively, she replied. Our sensors detect charge buildup in your stellar cannons. Our sensors detect the same in yours. I leaned toward her. If this becomes a contest of who blinks first, I should warn you, I blink a lot. She didn't look at me. Not now. The envoy's gaze shifted slightly, as if noticing me for the first time. You bring your human to a war council. I bring my advisor, she corrected. Advisor, the envoy said. He looks unarmed. I am armed, I said, with sarcasm and moderate technical skills. She suppressed a smile. State your intent. The envoy hesitated. A rogue signal originated from your capital. We are aware, she said evenly. Your internal instability concerns us. It should not. It has been contained. I tapped my cuff, projecting a sanitized data packet toward the envoy. Proof of containment, Minister Havek's access revoked, attempted shield override neutralized. The envoy studied the data. You expose weakness openly. We expose treachery openly, she replied. There is a difference. Silence stretched. Then the envoy inclined his head slightly. We will suspend advance for now. For now, she echoed. The channel closed. A collective breath left the room. That was close, I said. She nodded once. Too close. An officer stepped forward. Your Highness, there is more. There always is, I muttered. A secondary signal, the officer continued. The override did not originate solely from Havek. I felt my stomach drop, defined solely. There was an external handshake. Verks, I asked, unknown. She turned to me. Can you trace it? I can try, no promises. Whoever it is layered their encryption with quantum noise. Break it. You make it sound like cracking a nut. It is a nut threatening my empire. Fair point. I linked my cuff to the central array. Streams of data flooded my vision. I filtered, sorted, cursed quietly. Okay, I said slowly. The external handshake didn't come from Verk's space. Then from where? I magnified the coordinates. From beyond mapped sectors. A murmur rippled through the officers. She remained still. Uncharted, yes. Another faction, someone whispered. Or a very bored cosmic prankster, I said. Though this is elaborate for a prank. She studied the projection. Project the origin vector. A thin line extended beyond known space. If someone is manipulating both us and the Verks, she began. They're hoping we destroy each other, I finished. Which would be rude, I added. She almost laughed. You trivialize danger. I cope with danger. Her gaze softened briefly. Understood. An alert flashed. Verk's fleet powering down primary weapons, an officer announced. See, I said, joint patrol idea wasn't terrible. She looked at the map again. They are not retreating. They are waiting for us to make a mistake. Yes, I leaned back. Then we don't. She turned to the officers. Initiate probe launch along the origin vector, stealth configuration. High risk, one officer warned. So is ignorance, she replied. I pointed at the map. If the signal came from there, someone has technology that outpaces both our empires. Then we must learn, she said. I hesitated. If they can override royal shields remotely, they could do worse, she finished calmly. You're very calm about that. I refuse to panic in front of my people. Good policy, I said. Internally screaming is more efficient. A faint smile touched her lips. Are you screaming? Only a little. A new feed appeared, the stealth probe slipping beyond the gate, engines dimmed. Estimated time to signal origin, she asked. 2 standard hours, an officer replied. I exhaled, 2 hours of not knowing, my favorite. She stepped away from the table slightly. Walk with me. We moved to a quieter alcove within the command wing. You think this is bigger than Verks, she said softly. Yes, and Havek. Useful idiot or willing collaborator. She considered that. If an external power seeks to destabilize us, they chose their moment carefully. Right when tensions peak, I agreed. Classic move. She looked at me thoughtfully. You analyze patterns quickly. I grew up navigating bureaucracies. This is just a larger version with lasers. A faint huff of amusement escaped her. Why do you stay? She asked suddenly. Stay. At my side. You could return to Earth. And miss all this excitement. She raised an eyebrow. Okay, I admitted, because you asked me to be brave, and that is enough, for now. Her expression shifted, something quieter, more vulnerable, but she masked it quickly. A chime interrupted us. Probe has reached preliminary coordinates, an officer called. We returned to the table. Visual, she asked. The projection flickered, then stabilized, empty space. No structures detected, the officer said. Scan deeper, I urged. Sensors pulsed. Then the image warped. Gravitational lensing anomaly, someone whispered. The emptiness shimmered, revealing a faint outline, massive, artificial, hidden within distorted space. Well, I said softly, that's not nothing. Silence fell over the room. Configuration, she demanded. Unknown architecture, no known signature match. The structure pulsed faintly, and then, signal spike, an officer shouted. The probe feed scrambled. Cut connection? I yelled, too late. The probe went dark. A new transmission flooded the chamber, bypassing filters, projecting directly into the central sphere. A symbol appeared, unfamiliar, precise. This is not Verx, she said quietly. No, I agreed, it's something else. The symbol shifted into text in our language, observation complete. That's unsettling, I said. Her voice was steady. Prepare defenses. The message continued. Phase 2 initiating, I swallowed. I preferred Phase 1. She turned to the officers. Full readiness, alert all fleets. Alarms pulsed softly through the command wing. I looked at her. We're not just preventing war anymore. No, she said. We're being tested. She met my eyes. Then we will not fail. I managed a weak grin. You know, when I signed up to stand at your side, I expected formal banquets. You have had those. Yes, they were much safer. Her lips curved despite everything. The tactical sphere brightened as new anomalies appeared near the edge of known space. Whatever was out there had stopped hiding, and for the first time it wasn't just our empire holding its breath. It was the galaxy. The symbol still hovered above the command table. Phase 2 initiating. No explosions followed, no fleet emerged from hyperspace, just silence. I don't like enemies who monologue in text, I said. She didn't smile this time. Scan for energy surges. Already on it. Streams of data poured through my cuff. No weapons charging, no spatial ruptures. Whatever Phase 2 is, it's subtle. A new layer unfolded across the tactical sphere. Trade routes flickered. Communication relays pulsed. Wait, I murmured. They're not attacking our ships. Then what? She asked. They're mapping our responses. Traffic patterns just spiked across every military channel. They are studying our coordination. Exactly, we're performing for them. An officer stepped forward. Should we limit transmissions? She shook her head. No. We give them something worth studying. I blinked. That sounds dangerously confident. It is deliberate. She turned to the room, opened secure line to the Verx envoy. A murmur swept through the officers. Your Highness, one protested, they remain adversarial. So do we, she replied. And yet neither of us benefits from being dissected by a third party. The envoy appeared again, wariness etched across his armored face. Princess, you have seen the anomaly. We have. You are not its architects. A pause. We are not. Good, I muttered. One existential threat at a time. She continued. An external force manipulates both our territories. Continued hostility serves them. The envoy's eyes narrowed. You propose alliance. I propose survival. I leaned closer to the projection. Temporary, limited, mutually supervised data exchange. We compare sensor logs. We identify patterns. We deny them the chaos they expect. The envoy studied me. You trust us with your data? I shrugged. I don't, but I trust that you don't want to be someone else's experiment. Silence stretched. Then the envoy inclined his head. Agreed. Conditional cooperation. Conditional is my favorite kind, I whispered. Data streams began flowing between our systems and Verx command. For a moment, centuries of rivalry bent under shared fear. Phase 2, she said softly. They expected panic, fragmentation. Instead, they get paperwork, I said. The ultimate deterrent. A faint laugh escaped her. Patterns emerged quickly. The unknown structure pulsed in intervals that aligned with political tension spikes across both empires. They amplify instability, I said, nudging events, testing thresholds. Like scientists, she murmured. Or gamblers, she straightened. If they observe, we alter the experiment. I looked at her, meaning, stand down offensive postures publicly. That's risky. so is dancing to their rhythm. She opened a broadcast channel across Imperial space. To all fleets, de-escalate. Maintain defensive formation only, no aggressive maneuvers. Gasps echoed. You're giving up leverage, I whispered. I am denying our observer the data it seeks. Minutes passed, the tactical sphere flickered, the distant structure pulsed irregularly. They're reacting, an officer said. Good, she replied. I leaned into my analysis. Energy output fluctuating, they're recalibrating. The symbol reappeared, adaptive response detected. Polite of them to acknowledge, I said. The message shifted, objective compromised. Across the sphere, the distant anomaly began to fold inward. Is it retreating? An officer asked. Looks like it, I said, spatial distortion collapsing. The symbol flickered one last time, observation concluded, then it vanished. Silence filled the chamber. I blinked at the empty space where an unknown power had hovered. That's it. Continue scans, she ordered, minutes stretched. No further anomalies, an officer confirmed. The Verk's envoy's image returned. The structure has withdrawn beyond detection. For now, she said. For now, he echoed. A strange calm settled over the room. I exhaled slowly. We just passed a cosmic exam. Barely, she said. The envoy regarded her. Your decision altered the outcome. It was not mine alone, she replied, glancing at me. The envoy inclined his head slightly before his image faded. The chamber gradually shifted from crisis to disbelief. One officer laughed nervously. Another sank into a chair. I turned to her. You gambled everything. I chose trust over fear. Trust in me? I asked quietly. In us, she corrected. We stepped away from the command table.